Hallo, das ist Damien aus dem großen, freundlichen, atheistischen Papa-Podcast. Heute Abend wird Teil 10 meiner Lesung von Ich habe nicht genug Glauben, um ein Atheist zu sein.
What the? Let's just say, was ist das? Uh, das ist mein iPad. 为什么这样 ？Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. Vielen Dank, mein Kind. Anyway, yes, so we give the warm reading son a hug. Oh, squeezy. Yes, live on your hugs. Luckily, no one's watching yet. Let me chuck the banner on, because there you go, because people know how to contact me. So yes, good evening. The bad German translation was right. I am Damien, the tall, friendly atheist dad from the Tall, Friendly Atheist Dad podcast. I think in German, the großen, freundlichen Atheistischen Papa Podcast. Just okay. Gotta love German, and this is part 10 of I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist by Frank Turek and Norman Geisler. If you've missed the first 9 parts, they will be in the playlist that is linked to in the show notes. So yeah, and for some of those, I've been joined by my friend JJ, the archaeologian, and he's been great. I'm not so sure where he is tonight. I kind of gave him late notice, so he might be running late or just got things to do. But otherwise, JJ, for listening to this, I miss you. I hope you're well. And yeah, sorry for the late notice. It's been a bit of drama here in the Tall, Friendly Atheist Dad household. Sometimes the dad part of being Tall, Friendly Atheist Dad means you've got to deal with dramas. So anyway, what I've noticed today is, hold on, no, you do that. So just my son is saying he's going to do a poo before he goes to shower. You don't need to tell me you're going to do a poo. Don't do a fart in here. Oh, jeez, does it have to stink? Oh, lordy. Kids nowadays. So what I've noticed today, like when I woke up this morning, what I noticed was that one or two scientifically literate apologists put out tweets today that indicated that they were very willing to block people, in particular atheists, who asked pointy questions. Now, it's I don't know. I think that's like you're the ones who need to convince us of the case that God exists and that Christ is the Son of God, and your Bible is the Bible you read is the word of that particular deity. So it's not up to us to convince you that it's not. We'd like you to acknowledge that it's not, because we think that's the more logically, my boy, we think that's the more logically justified path. And good evening, Woyo. How you doing there, buddy? We think that atheism is the more justified path, but like actually putting out there that I'm stuff like I'm willing to block people who don't ask the right questions. I think that's just very pig-headed. And these two particular, I'm not going to name them, but these two particular people are very scientifically literate with PhDs. And it's just like, are you that thin-skinned about being questioned that, and look, one of them actually did threaten to block me. I wouldn't say threaten, but, kind of asked, do you want to be blocked? And I said no, because, I want to keep the communication lines open, because, having conversations is a good thing. And yeah, it's just yeah, it's just annoying when, you believe that you get your morality from the creator of the universe and the ultimate God of ultimate love, peace, and like your Bible says that the fruits of the spirit are, love, joy, peace, kindness, patience, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so that was a bit of a disappointing start to the day. But look, actually, it provided some very good Twitter fodder. So yeah, and my friend, yes, I hope Adine doesn't come here tonight. I thank you, Woyu. I was kind of interested that he actually came in the first place. Actually, no, I think you should welcome him to come on because we need to show that we do have good arguments, and that even if you don't win the argument against a dean, what you can do is show the audience, those neutral observers who might be on the edge either way about faith decisions, that well, look, here comes an idiotic Christian with an idiotic argument, but here is my rational response, and here I am being a lot more honest about the evidence and the argument. And that's something that a number of Christians just can't claim. So yeah, I say welcome challenges, but the thing is to be honest and be open and be gentle about it, because even if you answer honestly and your opponent is pig-headed, that shows people that, well, hold on, why is the Christian being pig-headed, and why is the atheist being the nice guy? So, well, okay, that's not what I expect. But yeah, that's anyway, no, and you're more than welcome about the advice. Sorry, I accidentally knocked the microphone with the book. Anyway, so look, if JJ, don't know where JJ is, let me just see if he's messaged me. Possibly not. That's all right. Look, JJ, whatever you're doing, wherever you are, stay safe, buddy. It's been great having you on for the last few episodes. Anyway, since I am both host, producer, and theologian, I'll put all three hats on again today. And we'll start from page 91. This will take us, just trying to think, so we have, I can't count, 4 more pages of chapter 3. And that will take us to chapter 4. So anyway, in 3, 2, 1. To grasp this argument, see the timeline below, marked in segments of days. The further left you go, the further back in history you go. Now, assume for a moment that this line extends to the left indefinitely, so that you can't see if or where it begins. But as you look to the right, you can see the end of the line, because the last segment of the line represents today. Tomorrow isn't here yet, but when it gets here, we'll add one more segment, i.e. a day, to the right end of the line. And figure 3.1 is basically a horizontal line that has segments on it. So the end point on the right says today, the point before that yesterday, and there's 3 points before that say previous days. But then the idea is that the left part of the line has an infinite arrow, or has an arrow indicating infinity that says distant history. So hopefully I've described that in a good way. And that's figure 3.1 in the book. Now, here's how this proves that time had a beginning. Since the line certainly ends on the right, i.e. today, the timeline cannot be infinite, because something that is infinite has no end. Moreover, you can't add anything to something that is finite. But tomorrow we will add another day to our timeline. So our timeline is undeniably finite. Let's consider this argument from a different angle. If there were an infinite number of days before today, then today would never have arrived. But here we are. So there must have been only a finite number of days before today. In other words, even though we may not be able to see, as we look to the left, where the line begins, we know it had to begin at some point. because only a finite amount of time could be passed for today to arrive. You can't traverse an infinite number of days. Thus, time must have had a beginning. Some say that infinite numbers can exist, so why can't infinite days? Because there's a difference between an abstract infinite series and a concrete one. The one is purely theoretical, the other is actual. Mathematically, we can conceive of an infinite number of days, but actually, we can never count or live an infinite number of days. You can conceive an infinite number of mathematical points between two bookends on a shelf, but you could not fit an infinite number of books between them. That's the difference between an abstract and a concrete. Now, I will actually finish this section before I comment. There's only 2 paragraphs left. Numbers are abstract. Days are concrete. By the way, this amplifies our answer above as to why there could not have been an infinite number of bangs in the cosmological history of the universe. An infinite number of actual events is impossible. What we are saying here is that the universe, Big Bang or not, had a beginning. That is, the cosmological argument is true because both premises of the argument are true. Everything that comes to be has a cause, and the universe came to be. Since the universe had a beginning, it must have had a beginner, and beginner is written in capital B. Now, let me just quickly go through some of your comments before I make some comments of my own. So thank you for all the comments. Okay, so Mr. Warrior Pay says, come on, past travelling, you can do better than that. Stephen Hawking and other scientists already explain why past travelling isn't possible. That's we're putting it, and yeah, is the timeline of the universe was 5,000. I know what you're saying, yes. Timeline of the universe was 5,000 BCE. Actually, if you listen to Bishop, if you go by Bishop Ussher's timeline, he has something really weird, like the 1st of October at 6 p.m., like Thursday the 1st of October, 6 p.m., 4004 BC. Something really obscure like that. But yeah, that's Bishop Ussher's. So, with this, just because you, how can I say? So again, this actually miscategorizes the Big Bang. The Big Bang is not how the universe existed out of nothing. The universe is how the Big Bang is how the universe went from a small, dense, hot state into a large, cool, and sparse one over the course of billions of years. That's all the Big Bang really is. Now, as I was chatting to JJ last night, that we don't have much of an idea what happened before the first 10 to the minus 43 seconds. And this is the thing. We're kind of looking at a crime scene, 14 billion years too late. So, and even if you could prove that the universe had a concrete, definite beginning, that does not mean that the beginning of the universe is a sentient superpower. So yeah, you just got to be aware of things like that. So and I'll equate it to evolution and abiogenesis. Evolution doesn't explain how the first self-replicating molecules came about. All evolution explains is how we got from simple molecules up to complex organisms that we see, such as ourselves. So yeah, that's so with that, yeah. Now I don't. Yeah, so this last paragraph here, the cosmological argument is true because both premises of the argument are true. Actually, and this is another point that I did raise with JJ last night, that now what was it? Now just I've forgotten as I was thinking about it, and if it comes back to me, so let's just go. So even if the universe did have a did have a beginning, that doesn't say the beginning is God. And so to go, we don't know how the universe got here, therefore God is a bit of a misnomer. And I'm trying to find where the actual argument is laid out. Oh, that's right. Yes. So the argument usually goes that what exists has a cause. The universe exists, therefore the universe has a cause. But what we've noticed apologists do is that they will go, whatever begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause. Now, with things we don't know if the universe began to exist, because there was no point in time where the universe didn't exist, and then, so let's say you got point A. There was no time point A where the universe didn't exist, and then point A plus 1 the universe did. The universe and time are coexistent. So you just gotta be aware of that. That, you know, the argument will go that, oh, what was before time? There was nothing that we know of before time, because, you know. So just be aware of that. So it's not true that because we don't know. How can I say, we don't know what caused the universe. We don't actually know for sure if the universe had a cause, again, because we don't know before the first 10 to the minus 43 seconds. Anyway, I'm going to get to the next section before I keep rambling on, and that section is who made God. 3, 2, 1. In light of all the evidence for a beginning of the space-time universe, the beginner must be outside the space-time universe. When God is suggested as the beginner, atheists are quick to ask the age-old question, then who made God? If everything needs a cause, then God needs a cause too. As we have seen, the law of causality is the very foundation of science. Science is a search for causes, and that search is based on our consistent observation that everything that has a beginning has a cause. In fact, the question, who made God, points out how seriously we take the law of causality. It's taken for granted that virtually everything needs a cause. So why then doesn't God need a cause? Because the atheist contention misunderstands the law of causality. Jeez, I can't wait to see what he writes here. The law of causality does not say that everything needs a cause. It says that everything that comes to be needs a cause. God did not come to be. No one made God. He is unmade. As an eternal being, God did not have a beginning, so he does not need a cause. Oh boy, that's get on track. But this is exactly why apologetics sucks, because, so turn my mic up a little bit, because, you know, that they play these word salad games that, you know, of course God is eternal, of course God doesn't need a creator, you know, God was created. What a silly question. But things that you only get to God is eternal because you read it in your book. If you didn't have the book, how would you know that God exists? And no one has been able to answer the question, well, who says that God wasn't made by a super God somewhere? And usually I get that, oh, well, that's you can't prove that. Well, you can't prove God straight up anyway. The warm reading sun is back from his nightly exercise. Very good. So anyway, back where you went. Shut the door, please. 3. Actually, do you have a shower? You have a shower. 3, 2, 1. But wait, the atheist will protest. If you can have an eternal God, then I can have an eternal universe. After all, if the universe is eternal, then it did not have a cause. Yes, it is logically possible that the universe is eternal and therefore didn't have a cause. In fact, it is one of only 2 possibilities. Either the universe or something outside the universe is eternal. Since something undeniably exists today, then something must have always existed. We have only 2 choices: the universe or something that caused the universe. The problem for the atheist is that while it is logically possible that the universe is eternal, it does not seem to be actually possible. For all the scientific and philosophical evidence, surge, radioactive decay, and the Kalam cosmological argument tells us the universe cannot be eternal. So by ruling out one of the two options, we are left with the only other option. Something outside the universe is eternal. No, this is some really bad. This is some really bad logic here. It's like, that's. Yeah, I'm just trying to read and get where I was, because yeah, it's like I'm happy with a non-eternal universe, but to then say that because the universe is not eternal, therefore what is outside the universe is eternal. Well, no, that doesn't quite follow, because it could be that the universe is expanding into something that already existed, that is part of other processes. Now, what else was there? And then it's got, the problem for the atheist is that while it is logically possible the universe is eternal, it doesn't seem to be actually possible. Then I could also argue that it is logically possible there's a goat who spewed out a universe that is full of pink fairies, for example. But is it actually possible for a goat to spew out a universe full of pink fairies? Well, maybe this is a special goat that is very large and has universe spewing properties. Actually, if you go to my podcast, I think the second episode I ever did was called The Magic Sheep. And yeah, if you listen for The Magic Sheep, you'll kind of come across this argument where the problem of unfalsifiability and belief in unfalsifiable things. So look for anchor.m/TFA Dad and look for The Magic Sheep. Anyway, so back to the book in 3, 2, 1. When you get right down to it, there are only two possibilities for anything that exists. One, it has always existed and is therefore uncaused. Or two, it had a beginning and was caused by something else. It can't be self-caused, because it would have had to exist already in order to cause anything. According to the overwhelming evidence, the universe had a beginning, so it must be caused by something else, by something outside itself. Notice that this conclusion is consistent with theistic religions, but it is not based on those religions. It is based on good reason and evidence. Actually, let me pause there for a sec, because hold on, because he actually then. So I'm just trying to go back. Where was it? So something just twigged just then. Okay, so on the previous page he's gone. You can't. Okay, where is it? Okay, so on the previous page, you can conceive of an infinite number of mathematical points between two bookends on a shelf, but you cannot fit an infinite number of books between them. That's the difference between an abstract and a concrete. So some may say that infinite numbers can exist, so why can't infinite days? Because there's a difference between an abstract infinite series and a concrete one. The one is purely theoretical, the other is actual. So you're saying that you can't have an actual number of infinite things because you can't have an actual number of infinite things. But for some reason you can have an infinite thing that is real. And again, this is the kind of question begging that apologists are famous for, because so you're saying that it's stupid to have an infinite number of days, because how would you have an infinite number of days? Yet when they propose, there is an infinite God who is eternal and uncaused and can do anything and is actually concrete and real. No, that is legit. That is, there's no problems with that logic at all. Give me a break. Anyway, so back to the So what is this first cause like? One might think you need to rely on a Bible or some other so-called religious revelation to answer that question. But again, we don't need anyone's scripture to figure that out. Einstein was right when he said, "Science without religion is lame. Religion without science is blind." Religion can be informed and confirmed by science, as it is by the cosmological argument. Namely, we can discover some characteristics of the first cause just from the evidence we've discussed in this chapter. From that evidence alone, we know the first cause must be, now get ready for all this, guys, self-existent, timeless, non-spatial, and immaterial. Since the first cause created time, space, and matter, the first cause must be outside of time, space, and matter. In other words, he is without limits or infinite. No, that doesn't follow. Unimaginably powerful to create the entire universe out of nothing. Supremely intelligent to design the universe with such incredible precision. We'll see more of this in the next chapter. Personal, in order to choose to convert a state of nothingness into the time-space material universe. An impersonal force has no ability to make choices. These characteristics of the first cause are exactly the characteristics theists ascribe to God. Again, these characteristics are not based on someone's religion or subjective experience. They are drawn from the scientific evidence we've just reviewed, and they will help us see a critically important section of the box top to the puzzle we call life. Now, the next part of the book is, the last part of this chapter is called the conclusion, and I'll get to that in a sec. But I do want to quickly go through these points, because these points are they don't really make sense. So, for example, in his first bullet point, he's gone, the first cause must be self-existent, timeless, non-spatial, and immaterial. Since the first cause created time, space, and matter, the first cause must be outside of time, space, and matter. In other words, he is without limits or infinite. This is one of the problems I encounter with theistic arguments for design, is that why does it have to be a someone rather than a something? Like, for example, if a rock falls on a car that's traveling along the road, we don't say that someone pushed the rock down the hill. We happily ascribe the rock falling down the hill to nature. So we know that processes can happen without sentient intervention. There's that. So, how can I say? So, because we know that natural processes can happen without intervention, there's no reason to say that the universe itself isn't the result of other natural processes that we don't understand. And this is something that annoys me no end about the theistic arguments, theistic cosmological arguments. It's like, we don't know, therefore it must have been a sentient intelligence. Well, no. And even then, even if it was a sentient intelligence, it could have been, the flying spaghetti monster. It could have been Zeus. It could have been Marduk. It could have been Aten of the Egyptians. There's like, it's like, well, it must have had a creator. The universe must have had a creator. Therefore, God is that creator. I was like, hold on, you haven't just taken a leap of faith. You've jumped on the trampoline of faith and leap forward 20 feet. It's like, come on, guys. Unimaginably powerful to create the entire universe out of nothing. Well, no, because we don't know how the matter in the universe got here. And when you think back to the first law of thermodynamics, in an isolated system, the amount of energy can neither be increased nor decreased. So, we don't know for certain how the energy got transferred into this universe to create matter. And that is what E equals mc squared is. Energy is the energy is proportional to mass times the speed of light squared. So, it's there's a thing we to say that it was created by an outside force just means that you push the problem back one step to another isolated system that created our isolated system. So if you say unimaginably powerful, that just means you just push the problem back one step, because the laws that govern our universe were initially governed by something that's outside of our universe. So, supremely intelligent to design the universe with such incredible precision. He's referring here to the fine-tuning argument, and I have problems with the fine-tuning argument. But let's say that a supreme intelligence did design the universe. Richard Carrier actually put the argument for intelligent design of the universe to bed very well. I'm going to paraphrase him here. He basically said it's like walking into a mattress factory and finding that the only place you can sleep is the size of a proton of a speck of dust in that factory. And that is how inefficient the Creator is. If God created the universe for us, He is woefully and hopelessly inefficient. Because it's like I make a bed for my son to sleep in, and I say, well, son, I made this bed for you to sleep in, but the only safe place for you to sleep in is like right on that corner, on a little speck of dust on the corner of the edge of the bed. If my son walked in and said, Dad, where can I sleep? And I gave him that little speck of dust, you go, Dad, you didn't design this for me. And the other thing is that we know there are, at this stage, there are more black holes in the universe than there are planets with sentient life. So if the universe was designed for anything, it was designed for black holes. And then this last bullet point, personal, in order to choose to convert a state of nothingness into the time-space material universe. An impersonal force has no ability to make choices. Well, this is the thing. You don't know that the universe was created as a deliberate act. It's... if we look at the universe without our religious glasses on, we see that, humans are just a part of it. Like, the universe doesn't care that we exist. Humans could, an asteroid could hit Earth, and Earth could break up into, 1,000 pieces. The universe will continue on without us. So, this is the thing. So I don't believe that the universe was personally created. If it was, it did a really bad job. I'll put it like that. So anyway, this is the thing. It is very much an argument from incredulity. Also, an argument from ignorance. Actually, no, it's both. It's an argument from ignorance because, I don't know, therefore God. And it's an argument from incredulity because, well, I can't think of any other way how the universe was made. I know in the previous section of this chapter, the two authors listed a few hypotheses, but they really butcher those hypotheses up. It's and there's no mention of quantum mechanics, and every current cosmological answer for the beginning of the universe, let's use the word, always involves quantum mechanics. And it's like, thanks, guys. Anyway, I'll get to the conclusion, which is page 94. So the conclusion of chapter 3, which is titled, Conclusion: If there is no God, why is there something rather than nothing? So once I finish this part, I will end the reading for tonight because that'll take us to chapter 4. So in 3, 2, 1. Years ago, I, Norm, debated an atheist at the University of Miami on the question, does God exist? After I presented much of the evidence we have reviewed here, I had the opportunity to ask my opponent some questions. Here's what I asked him. Sir, I have some questions for you. First, if there is no God, why is there something rather than nothing at all? I then proceeded to ask a few more questions, thinking he would answer them in sequence. Now, usually when you debate someone, you're trying to persuade the audience. You don't expect to get your opponent to admit he's wrong. He's got too much invested in his position, and most debaters have too much ego to admit an error. But this guy was different. He surprised me when he said, regarding the first question, that's a good question. That's a really good question. And without any other comment, he went on to answer my second question. After hearing the evidence for the existence of God, this debater was left questioning his own beliefs. He even attended a follow-up meeting and expressed that he had doubts about atheism. His faith in atheism was waning, indeed. If there is no God, why is there something rather than nothing? Is a question that we all have to answer. And in light of the evidence, we are left with only two options. Either no one created something out of nothing, or else someone created something out of nothing. Which view is more reasonable? Nothing created something? No, even Julie Andrews knew the answer when she sang, "Nothing comes from nothing. Nothing ever could." And if you can't believe that nothing caused something, then you don't have enough faith to be an atheist. The most reasonable view is God. Robert Jastrow suggested this when he ended his book, God and the Astronomers, with this classic line, "For the scientist who has lived by his faith in the power of reason, the story ends like a bad dream. He has scaled the mountains of ignorance. He is about to conquer the highest peak. As he pours himself over the final rock, he is greeted by a band of theologians who have been sitting there for centuries." And that's it. That is how we end chapter 3. Now, even here there are a few points. Firstly, the argument. Well, I can sort of say the argument, but the whole idea of these anecdotes that, it's in my experience, and I don't know if this is me being ultra cynical here, but when a theist gives you an anecdote about something, you can take it with a pinch of salt, because it's. And I was actually relaying an anecdote to someone this morning about something that a preacher said, and it was and I kind of knew they were lying, but this is the thing. So when so when a theist gives you an anecdote to prove a point, take that anecdote with a pinch of salt. Firstly, anecdotes aren't necessarily proof. It's a story. But so this thing, if someone asked me, if there is no God, why is there something rather than nothing? And I would go, it is a good question. It's a fantastic question. But God doesn't explain why there is something rather than nothing, and for the most pertinent reason that you have not defined what God is. You have not defined what a deity is. You haven't told me what version of God, whether it's a triune God, whether it's there's a whole heap of questions even about the deity question. What is a deity? What do deities do? What are their powers? What are their, the closer the further away you move from concrete definitions, the closer you get to mythology. And the closer you get to mythology is just concepts. And if your God is just a concept, well, a concept cannot create something, except more concepts. So, but it is a really good question. Why is there something rather than nothing? And I admit, I don't know. All I can say is that everything we have observed in this universe is the result of other processes within the universe. And look, I don't know what Lawrence Krauss said in his book, and I know there's people who criticize Lawrence Krauss. That's fine. You can criticize Lawrence Krauss as much as you want. No skin off my nose. But yeah, like, we don't know. Like, we don't know. So we can't say, yes, it is God. Because if you... And I think Matt Dillahunty said it best when, you don't solve a mystery by appealing to another mystery. You solve a mystery by appealing to something we know. So it's sort of like saying, why was the how can I say something? Don't get too gruesome, but like, how did the money go missing out of the safe? Well, I could just say it was safe cracking fairies. There are a bunch of fairies that know how to crack safes, and they took the money. Oh, they're invisible, so that's why you didn't see them on. That's why you didn't see them on CCTV. But they know how to crack safes. You go, what is the proof for these safe cracking fairies? There's a book that was created hundreds of years ago that talked about the safe cracking fairies. But safes weren't invented till a couple hundred years ago. So you tell me you've got an ancient book that talks about safe cracking fairies, even though safes only existed for the last 100 or so years. Yes, that's how amazing the God of the safe cracking fairies is. He was able to predict the existence of safes before safes existed. And by theological logic, you cannot disprove that. Whereas, if I was going to be accused of a crime, I'd want you to have a crime. You can't just go, I have a belief that you committed the crime, and I have the word of someone who would never lie. I have the word of someone trustworthy. Therefore, you committed the crime. It doesn't work that way, buddy. It doesn't work that way. Yeah, but this... And then this line here, his faith in atheism was waning. Indeed. No one has faith in atheism. Atheism is just a position on the existence of gods. And I will admit that probably the closest I could get, the furthest I could get from atheism is deism, like a general God that exists outside of the universe. And he's the one, like a deity that created the universe and then buggered off. And then this line here, for the scientist who lived by the faith, he scaled the mountains of ignorance, about to conquer the highest peak. He pauses over the final rock. He's greeted by a band of theologians who've been sitting there for centuries. Yeah, I've heard that before, and it's like, yeah, it's you got oats. The warm reading sun is the warm exercise sun, the warm showering sun, and he's got oats. Do you guys know how cold it was today? And you know how cold it is right now. It is very cold in Melbourne, Australia. And yeah, and I'm talking and trying to keep an eye on the comments as well. Oh, but you distracted me with those oats. Oh my gosh. So anyway, tomorrow night I won't be reading this book. I'll most likely be reading a book called Leviathan by Thomas Hobbes. But yeah, thank you for joining me for the previous 9 parts, and for this part, JJ said if you're out there, look, I'll be in contact with you later, but stay safe. Mr. Wayope, thank you so much for being commenting and just providing feedback, and it's great to see your name whenever I do these, because it's just good to know that someone's listening and interacting. But yeah, until next time. So look, I probably will read this in a few days' time. But yeah, there's but if you want some more responses to books, go to the Tall Friendly Atheist Dad YouTube channel, where I've got lists of other books that I've been reading. So hopefully you'll find something there. If you want something interesting to listen to apart from this series, go to anchor.fm/TFA Dad. If you want to get in contact with me, twitter.com/TFADpod, facebook.com/TFADpod, or www.tallfriendlyatheistdad.com. Until next time, I'm Damien, the Tall Friendly Atheist Dad, and hopefully I will always be Damien, the Tall Friendly Atheist Dad. Until next time, look after yourselves, And the warm reading sun is also saying goodbye. The warm oat eating reading sun saying goodbye as well. So much love. See you guys.